Have you ever seen contests on the back of cereal boxes or like those Instagram posts where the models are posing in those fake bedrooms and been like, why don't I try those out? Why isn't that me? Why am I not being paraded around the square like the brave little duke that I am? Well, I'm here to say I attempted that. Not only did I seek out every contest I possibly could, but I also entered every sweepstakes I came across for an entire month. And I'm here to share my experience with that. Let me check my script at the end here to let you know a little spoiler. Oh yeah, it ain't good, chums. And just a reminder that if you decide to do this, you're sharing all your personal information with faceless strangers and Russian hackers and probably Zark from the Facebook. I personally used my real name because I was afraid that if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to claim any of the prizes, but obviously that was the risk I took too. I also used my own phone number, but it's publicly available for my business stuff, so that was the risk I took with that too, and I very, very rarely put anything related to my mailing address. Obviously the vast majority of these are online only contests, so I created a new email address at ilikeToDanceOnMyNoggin@gmail.com. It was the first thing that came to my head, or my noggin, as it were. I also created a new Twitter account at Noggin Dancing, so that people who follow my @PojiJoe account wouldn't have to suffer through all my experimentation with this. The people who follow that account are forced instead to look at all my bountiful political retweets as well as all the jokes that I tried to make in person that didn't land. I chose to focus on Twitter because I feel like it'd be harder to build up a new Instagram or Facebook with all this contest stuff without making it look too spammy. So now I had all my tools in place. Now what? Well, it turns out there are a metric buttload of contest compilation sites that you can check out. I won't list any because I don't really need the attention because it seemed like tens of thousands of people were visiting these sites every single day. And here's where it started to get annoying. Yes, this early on it started to get annoying. I thought like a lot of these contests you'd just be going on and you'd enter in your name and you'd enter it in your email or whatever, send it off, boom. That's not really it. It's not really a two-step process anymore. See, a lot of these sites now use these embedded boxes where it's less about putting your name in and crossing your fingers and more about how much you can do for the company now to heighten your odds. And of course, some of these things were very easy and mundane. Follow us on Twitter or like click here to visit our website and we'll get additional entries. But then other things were much more unwieldy. Like there were certain sites where you had to write like a whole 500-word blog post about the company to get like 3 extra entries. Which, like I said, there's like tens of thousands of people entering these things constantly. So like, is 3 extra entries really worth so much of your time and your integrity to write out a whole promotional blog post for a couple extra entries? Probably not. It's not gonna boost your caboose much. I mean, to be fair, I should qualify that these were all sweepstakes I was entering. They aren't like contests of skill where I was writing like college level essays or making a jingle out of toilet paper tubes for Pepsi or anything like this. These are purely just things that anybody could do. And not only that anybody can do, but the like quality of the thing you're doing doesn't increase your odds. So again, I wouldn't go and write a whole big essay promoting a company just so I get entries when no one's even gonna look at the actual thing, whatever. Okay, so that was on the email side of things. What was I doing on Twitter? Well, on Twitter, I was finding out that there are also a lot of accounts that will share contests and sweepstakes and all these things where all you have to do is really search contest or retweet to win. And of course, you had to be really careful because you don't know how many of these things are legitimate. I mean, obviously a lot of the big companies that were promoting their own stuff, that was fine. It was when you got to kind of the smaller ones where you kind of had to be a little bit more wary and a little bit more cautious about where my information was being passed off to. And I was doing pretty good at not getting into the scammy kind of sites, but then I took a chance on one, and sure enough, like later that week, I started getting like way more robocalls than I've already been getting, which I know we've all been getting a lot more robocalls lately, but it's certainly increased that week. I started to get like all these spam texts, which is especially annoying. Like a phone call, I feel like I just kind of swipe away, but a text just feels so much more invasive. I feel like I have to look at it in order to shoo it away. That I kind of did expect, I'll be honest. But what I didn't expect is how much work it would be just checking this stupid email every single day. Obviously, like most of the time when you're signing up for these sweepstakes things, you automatically agree to be part of that company's email list, which I figured I would just go to the thing and just unsubscribe from them when I was done. But they're very clever, because they don't tell you if you won unless you like check the bottom of their little spam emails that they always send out. They're not gonna send you a separate one saying you won, so you kind of have to be subscribed to their stupid email list and look through them. Like, I get it, it's a very smart marketing tactic, but it also meant I had to read every single email from like John Deere or Giant Eagle or whatever. The two most annoying companies by far were this one and this one, which this is like a clothing brand and this one's like a tobacco pipe company, which is weird. I don't even know how I got on that one because I don't have an interest in that. And these companies put out emails like every day, sometimes multiple times a day, which makes no sense because I figure even if you were a fan of these companies, why would you want that much spammy advertising from them? It just seems like it's working against you. I don't know. The scammiest sites, of course, were pretty easy to figure out. They're the ones that just have like the long, confusing URLs and promise these big amounts of number, and they look like they're from like 1999 and still haven't been updated. And please, please stay away from those, because you get into these loops where you start to try to fill out a survey or do something for them, and they never, ever, ever, ever get you to the end. They're just like, and one more step, and one more step, and one more step, and there's never an end, so don't even bother. Funniest part is when these scammy sites started to try and add me to their email list, and so I get all these emails that like, almost what you want to hear, but they put a question mark at the end. So instead of putting like, you win, or like, you won the big grand prize, they'll put stuff like, you win? Special cruise for Joe? You're officially a millionaire? And how are things going on the Twitter front? Also not good, of course, because like I said, there are people who literally spend hours every single day doing this kind of stuff. So the instant one of these contests come up, your chances are pretty microscopic. I mean, even on the smaller Twitter accounts, like there's not a whole lot of accountability as to like if someone actually won anything. So I have a feeling that a lot of people were retweeting things, including myself, who were not even actually going to win anything ever. So in the meantime, in between all these retweets and everything, I would just post dumb stream of conscious tweets to kind of make it seem like it wasn't just some spammy account. I had a stranger hit me up in my DMs, which is kind of weird because my profile picture is just the Luxo lamp from Pixar. So yeah, I'll be honest, I wanted to quit like after a week, but I told myself I'm gonna do this the full month. And it was February when I did it, so I was like, this is all the more reason, it's a short month, just plow forward with it. I entered those car sweepstakes you see at the mall. I filled out the surveys at the bottom of the gas station and fast food receipts. And as I kept doing this, my inbox grew and grew, and all the BS of trying to sift through all those emails took up more and more of my time. In addition, I started to pick up on something that some of these sites would do, where they would not end the deadline of the sweepstakes until like December of 2020, which is almost 2 years from this recording date. So I imagine that's a pretty clever move on their part, because then they don't have to give someone a deep fryer if that person completely forgot that they entered a contest almost 2 years ago. It's pretty smart. And now for the ultimate question. Did I, Poji Joe, become a winner? After panning for gold inside a bathtub for a month, did I actually win anything? Why, yes. Yes, I did. But only because the original winner didn't claim the prize, so I was the runner-up. That's right, there was an artist I decided to follow on my new account because I saw that she was doing a commissioned art giveaway. Her name is Witch Jitch, if I'm saying that right. And I can't tell you how happy I was to finally have something to show for my pains. So what did I commission her to make? I thought maybe if I commissioned her to show me grabbing money from the sky as it rained down on me, that it would increase my chances of winning the other sweepstakes, but that didn't work. It was still a cool artwork though. Yeah, and definitely follow her account because she was super professional the whole time, and I was really happy with the final result. So that was one wonderful thing that came out of this. So yes, I'm a winner. Did that make all of this worth it? No, no, absolutely not. No. Listen, I love the artwork, but the only reason I had a chance at winning that was because it was a smaller account and the person running it was like an actual artist and not just some faceless, nameless company. Online sweepstakes, yeah, they're a scam. And of course, yeah, you're thinking, duh, I already knew that. Well, I already knew that too, but I guess what I did learn is that they were much worse than I had even expected. Like, yeah, I knew I was gonna get a bunch of spam emails, I just didn't think the same company would be sending them multiple times a day. And yeah, sure, I knew that I was gonna get spam phone calls, but I didn't think I would start getting them upon the hour. And yes, I know that most of these things are just easy ways for websites to get clicks, but I guess what I didn't expect is that so many people would risk their information and so much time and effort for these companies just so that they could win a copy of The Grinch on DVD. That being said, they did seem like remarkably effective promotional tools, so like if I ever decide to do like a sweepstakes on my website, like mine isn't bad, just the other ones, but mine's not bad. Mine's good. Also, in order to complete this video, I'm going to have to ask you to identify which of these is a crosswalk. Come on. It's not that hard. You're not a robot, are you?